everyone, it's me, Cynthia. I want to thank you for stopping by my channel today. It's Monday, it's a Monday evening. I hope everybody had a great weekend and are back on your grind or doing whatever it is you do. I want to talk to you today about multiple sclerosis and military service. I'm sure I've mentioned in one of my videos a time or two that I'm a veteran. I served almost 7 years on active duty and did a year in the reserves after that. I have been out of the military since 1990, so almost 30 years. And a lot of veterans, when they have completed their military service, find that they have some disabilities that are related to their military service. And for years, I've considered some things that I thought could be connected to my military service, but never filed a claim for disability until just recently. So it just never occurred to me that some of the things that I have been plagued with physically were connected to my military service, thinking maybe they were just too minor or there was nothing in my military records that connects it. But last year I went to a conference for veteran women and family members who are considering starting a business. And while I was there, I met a woman who was the head of the first, I believe, female head of the Disabled American Veterans, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping veterans. And then at that conference I met a lot of veterans, and almost everyone that I met said, okay, so what's your disability? And I was like, well, I don't have one. Well, what's your disability? So I kept getting that question over and over. But this particular woman said, no, you have something. She said, get your medical records, review your medical records, and I'm sure that there's something that's there. So lo and behold, there are things that are there. I happen to have arthritis in both of my knees, and I was diagnosed with it maybe when I was 27. So that's either the year that I came out of the military or the year after, but very, very young age to have arthritis in both of your knees. And there were problems that I was plagued with throughout the years. And there have been studies, medical studies that have been done that show that members of the military are diagnosed at a higher rate with arthritis than people who haven't served in the military. So there was that was there. And I have bad feet. I have bunions. Not anymore because it was corrected. I had surgery on both of my feet to correct bunions. A lot of people don't really know what bunions are, so let me just explain that. And I don't think that that's the medical term for it, but bunions are not the calluses and corns that people have on their feet, but bunions are like a deformity where your big toe is kind of protruding out, and it causes problems for different shoes that you wear, and because of the way your shoes fit, then your toes may be rubbing, and that's what causes the corns and the calluses. So both of my feet, bunions, probably not caused by military service, but definitely aggravated. And that's the thing with a VA disability. It's either a condition that was caused by military service or was aggravated because of military service. So I have some things that are going on in my military record. So I said, okay, finally I'm going to file a claim for disability. And arthritis is one of those issues that if you started having problems or you got a diagnosis within a certain time after leaving the military, so that then it's presumed to be service connected, and you'll get some type of rating if it's severe enough. I don't think just having it, but it has to impact your life and how you function. So those things are, maybe they'll give me a rating or maybe they won't give me a rating. I'm holding in my hand paperwork where they've acknowledged receiving my claim. The Department of Veteran Affairs has acknowledged receiving my claim. It's all submitted electronically, which is great because I had my medical records, these different diagnoses, and I could proof, and there were things in my military records, and then there were things that were from civilian doctors that I had, those records that I was able to submit. So while I was filling out my claim, my daughter said to me, "Are you going to add the MS?" And I said, "Well, no, I don't think so, because MS, it's an autoimmune disease. They don't know what causes it. They think maybe, I don't know, is it a viral? So there's no definite cause for multiple sclerosis." So I said, "No, I'm not going to put that." But before I finished submitting my application, I said, "Well, let me just Google military service and MS." And what came up? Well, it took me to a page at the Department of Veteran Affairs that is basically saying, at some point there was a study that was done, and members of the military or service veterans of the military are apparently being diagnosed with MS at an alarming rate. It's so alarming that if you have multiple sclerosis and your symptoms of multiple sclerosis started within 7 years of you being discharged from the military, then it's presumed to be service connected, and it should be an automatic 30% rating that you will get from the VA. And I was surprised, and I'm surprised and disappointed, because where was this information? Like, why isn't the Department of Veteran Affairs, why aren't they sharing this? I was clueless. Like, I would have submitted my claim and not even included the MS if I hadn't talked to my daughter. And she said, "Well, are you going to add the MS?" And that triggered me to do a search. And so the terrible thing about that is that my symptoms started the same year I was discharged from the military. I didn't get a diagnosis until many years later, but I got the diagnosis in 2011. I could have filed a claim years ago and be collecting a certain amount of money, and I didn't know. Why isn't the military sharing this information with veterans? We served our country. They have our home of record address. There should have been something published, and maybe there was. I don't know. So I learned a lesson in that. Like, if there is something going on with you and you're a veteran, do your research, look at your medical records, see if anything is service connected, and go after that disability rating, because there's so many ways that you can benefit from a disability rating. One of those ways is just the compensation. If you're a certain percentage, I think if you're like you're 10%, there'll be a small amount of money that you'll get. 30% is like a milestone place to be. Different percentages are connected to different benefits. So I have my little letter here. I don't have my glasses on, but there's education and training that you can get. You can get compensation. You can get retrained, voc rehab. So if your disability keeps you from doing a certain job that you used to do, well, they'll retrain you to do something else. Home loan guarantee, I was already aware of that, because that's just one thing that I was always aware of. Medical treatment, of course. One really big deal that a lot of people may not know about, well, there's life insurance. I didn't know about that there was something that I could get as a disabled veteran. I did know about going to the medical facilities. I don't know that I want to go there. I do have health insurance already. But if you are 100% disabled, service-connected disability, and it's 100%, you, in the state of Texas, don't have to pay property taxes. I don't know if that's every state, but it's here in the state of Texas. You also, there is a forgiveness of student loans. That's really big. I still have student loan debt, not only for myself, but for my one of my children. That's a big deal if I could get 100% disability rating to have student loan debt done away with. If you establish a business and you're a veteran-owned disabled business owner, there are government contracts that are set aside only for disabled veteran businesses to compete for. So that's a smaller pool if that's something that you want to go after. I am disappointed that I just stumbled onto this information now, but I guess it's better late than never. I'm still alive, and I should at the very least end up with a 30% disability rate, and I think I should get 100% disability rating. I'm retired from federal service because of my MS, the fatigue that I battle with on a daily basis. It's great when you don't have to work, because when you get tired, you just take a nap. If you're working, you can't do that, of course. So the lesson I learned from all this is to always, always, always be your own advocate and do the research and find out what might be available for you as someone who is disabled. Veteran disability, VA disability is different than Social Security. Oh, and here's a good thing. I'm retired and I do receive a pension if I am rated disabled. Whatever money I get as the disability compensation, that's tax-free money, and it's not offset. It will not offset my pension that I'm already receiving. So for those of you, if you're a military member that retired, there may be some offset, but there's not an offset for federal service. If you retire from federal service, there was probably, I don't know if it would affect Social Security disability if you're getting that. I couldn't get Social Security disability. Social Security Administration said you can still work, go out there and find a job. I haven't been successful at that just yet because the fatigue is overwhelming. I don't know, it takes me longer to get going in the morning. Once I get going, I'm pretty good, but fatigue, I've always battled that, and as the day goes on further, it's a problem. And the cognitive functions and differences that this disease, how it impairs our cognitive abilities is kind of difficult, especially if you're working something that's very analytical. I've worked my background is in the legal field, and this disease, I'm preaching to the choir. If you're watching my video, then you can be in mid-sentence sometimes and just lose your whole train of thought. Pretty embarrassing when you're in a meeting and all of a sudden, okay, where was I going with this? So it's better if you're at home or doing something that's not so stressful, because that stress of a high-power job kind of messes with us too. Anyway, so I just wanted to share this information. If you're a veteran, please go after that disability rating. If you're not, if you know somebody, share this information. If you are seeking to get Social Security disability, it's a process. When I retired from the federal government, it was a process getting to that point to where I could get an approval to be retired. You no longer should have to wait until you're just like totally debilitated in order to retire and receive some type of compensation. So I'm hoping that this information is helpful to you that are veterans. If not, if you know somebody, please share this information so that you can get what you're entitled to. And that's all. That's why I'm here. I want to be a resource to share information that I come to know, so that it can be beneficial to others. So with that said, I mentioned that my brother just got married over the weekend, and their wedding favor was a bottle of wine, and I love wine. This is a Behringer's California Red Moscato. I don't usually do red, and it says that it's semi-sweet. To me, it's closer to a sweet side, but it's very tasty, and I appreciate any time I get wine. And so it's a blend. It's a blend of Moscato, which is of course a white, and it's a sweet white, and Zinfandel, which can be sometimes sweet but has it can be spicy sometimes too, so there are different flavors that go along with the Zinfandel, and a Petit Shiraz, which is also a red. So that's the blend that I'm having this evening. Is happy hour wine time, as I say. And until next time, I want to thank you for stopping by. Cheers. A little on the sweet side for me, but good. And of course I am going to drink it. We don't waste wine. So see you soon.